students, in previous part we had studied about the process of osmosis, its condition and the different experiments related to it. Now we have to study here that in diffusion the process continues until the concentration becomes similar in all around the material, all around the substance. In osmosis, water moves from hypotonic solution to hypertonic solution, that is having its region of higher concentration to region of its lower concentration. But how long will it take place? Unlike diffusion, it will stop after some times even if there is difference in concentration of water. Like if we have we can recall the experiment using the funnel. Now as the water from the beaker moves inside the funnel, the level of water will go on increasing. Due to the increase in height of the water level, length of the water, now the pressure will be developed due to the weight of the fluid, weight of the solute inside the funnel, and that will gradually prevent the movement of water. Now, so in order to study this factor, we have to study a topic called osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure. Now, first, before defining it, we can have an experiment. Like you see, suppose we take a long stemmed funnel at the mouth of which we tie a semi-permeable membrane. Now, sugar solution is placed inside it, and then it is fitted with an airtight piston. This is the airtight piston, and then this is placed in a beaker containing water. Like you see here, here there is water, inside it there is sugar solution, this is piston. Now what will you observe? You will observe that gradually the piston moves upward. The reason is that due to the osmosis, water moves inside the funnel across the semi-permeable membrane. It pushes the piston upward. Now at this time, suppose we place some weight over the piston. This is the weight. As we know, according to the fluid pressure, the weight placed over it will exert downward pressure. Downward pressure. That will exert pressure at this place also. So gradually after some time we'll see that this movement slows down. Now further place some more weight over it. And then finally we see that the upward movement of the piston stops. It means that we, by putting some weight, placing some weight, we have developed certain amount of pressure that has stopped the process of osmosis, the inward movement of solvent, that is water. So that minimum pressure which is required to prevent osmosis, nullify osmosis, is especially known as osmotic pressure. So what is osmotic pressure? The minimum pressure that must be exerted to prevent passage of solvent, that is water, into a solution when the two are separated by two are separated by a semi-permeable membrane is called osmotic pressure. Or now we can simply say that the minimum pressure required to nullify the process of osmosis across the semi-permeable membrane into a solution is known as osmotic pressure. Now, in simple terms, we can say that osmotic pressure of a solution is the tendency to take in water across the semi-permeable membrane. This is called osmotic pressure. Now, so if the concentration of this solution is less, suppose 20% sugar solution, then it can take only little of water. Suppose it is 80% concentrated, it can take more water. So if the passage of water is faster in higher level, then more pressure is required. So what can you say? That osmotic pressure depends upon solute concentration. Solute concentration means higher the solute concentration, more is the tendency to take in water, so it will have more osmotic pressure. So we can write here, that is a more concentrated solution, that is we can write here hypertonic solution has higher osmotic pressure and a less concentrated solution that is we can write hypotonic solution. We will define it later on. Hypotonic solution has low osmotic pressure. So just you can see, suppose if we want to define osmotic pressure on the basis of solute concentration, or we can say here now relating osmotic pressure, suppose we want to define osmosis, then how can we define? Now again, the movement of solvent molecule, mainly water, from a solution of low osmotic pressure to a solution of high osmotic pressure across a semi-permeable membrane is called osmosis. Again recall, movement of solvent, mainly water, from solution of low osmotic pressure to a solution of high osmotic pressure across a semi-permeable membrane is called osmosis. Clear, student? So we see here that even if there is difference in concentration of the two solutions, then the absorption osmosis will stop after some times, and it is due to the pressure exerted by the solution inside on the membrane, which prevents osmosis, nullify osmosis. Clear, student? So this was related to osmotic pressure. Now, student, here we have to study the relative concentration of the solutions, which we have used the terms, but we have not explained it clearly. Now we are going to define it in proper way, explain it in proper way. That is called tonicity. Now what is tonicity? The relative concentration of the solution which determines the direction of movement of water, that is osmosis, is termed as tonicity. Now, the solution is of three types: isotonic, hypotonic, and hypertonic. So, we are going to classify, that is the relative concentration. Relative concentration of solution, which determines the direction of osmosis is called tonicity of solution. Now you see, there are three types of it. First, isotonic. As the name suggests, iso means same, means when the solution outside the cell has same concentration to the fluid inside the cell, then this is called isotonic solution. In this case, you see, that is, if the solution is isotonic, in that case there is no net movement of water. Now what does it mean, no net movement of water? Means, in normal condition, the process of movement of the particles in the fluid takes place in all directions. But in this case, the movement outward and the movement of molecules inward will be the same. So there will be no change in concentration of the two solutions. So even the cell will remain in its proper size. There will be no change in size or shape of the cell. So this is called isotonic. Now, second is hypertonic. Hyper means more, excess, and tonicity. Now you see here, that is, the hyper and hypo words are used for the concentration of solute. Now you see, if there is a higher concentration of solute, means less water, in that case water will move from another solution to this solution. So the solution outside the cell has higher solute concentration than the fluid inside the cell. So the solution outside the cell has higher solute concentration, means less water. In that case, inside the cell there is more water, that is the higher concentration. In that case, exosmosis takes place, that is the outward movement of water, that is also termed as exosmosis, takes place. And if it happens, in that case the shrinkage of cell takes place. The cell will shrink, the cell will become loose. In case of plant cell, if the cell wall is rigid in its place, then there will be no outward pressure exerted over it, so it will become flaccid, turns flaccid or loose. Flaccid. Clear, student? Now, third part is hypotonic. Hypotonic. Again, hypo means less. That is less concentrated solution. Means it has less solute concentration. So more water, that is dilute. So you can remember, you can easily learn by using these two terms. Hypertonic, that is more solute, hence less water, more concentrated solution. Here hypo means less, so less solute, hence more water, so it is less concentrated solution or dilute solution. So the solution outside the cell has less concentration of solute than fluid inside the cell. Now just we are using the term fluid inside the cell. We are not using the term cell sap, because the cell sap term is used for the fluid in the vacuole of the plant cell mainly. So just we write here fluid inside the cell. In that case, since the surrounding solution has higher concentration of water, so from surrounding solution water will move inside the cell, that is inward movement of water, that is called endoosmosis. Endoosmosis takes place. In this case, you see that is the cell will swell up. The cell swells up and it turns turgid. That is, the cell will become firm, and if the surrounding membrane is not has not sufficient elasticity, ability to hold the solution inside it, then the cell will burst out. Like you have often observed that in over-ripened fruits, juicy fruits, like in case of grapes, tomato, sometimes in mangoes, their outer covering burst open. Due to this condition, that is inside it, the pressure gets increased. Clear, student? So now, students, in this chapter, while explaining the experiments and other things, most of the students get confused about the tonicity. That is, at which place we have to use hypertonic, where we have to use hypotonic, and so on. So just remember, hyper means excess of solute. That is, tonicity is related to the solute concentration. We have just defined it also. Clear, student? Now, students, the next topic is osmotic potential. Now, what is it? As the name suggests, potential. Potential means ability. Ability for what? Ability for osmosis to take place. Means ability for water to move from one solution to another solution. So, it is the tendency of water. The tendency of water of a solution to move into another solution across a semi-permeable membrane. A semi-permeable membrane is called osmotic potential. Osmotic potential. Now, student, here we see that is, it is the tendency of water to move into a solution. It means that the solution which will have higher concentration of water it will have greater tendency to pass water into the another solution. It means that a hypotonic solution has higher osmotic potential and a hypertonic solution has the lower osmotic potential. Means the osmotic potential depends upon the concentration of water, relative concentration of water. So a hypotonic solution has high osmotic potential, has high osmotic potential, and a hypertonic solution has low osmotic potential. So just we see that water has to move from hypotonic solution to hypertonic solution, means from solution of high osmotic potential to solution of low osmotic potential. So we can again define osmosis on the basis of osmotic potential. Now what is it? The movement of solvent, mainly water, from solution of high osmotic potential to a solution of low osmotic potential across a semi-permeable membrane is called osmosis. So we have defined osmosis on the basis of three terms in general definition, that is related to the concentration of water. Next, on the basis of osmotic pressure, and here we have defined it on the basis of osmotic potential. Now, there is another term related to the movement of particles, that is called active transport. Active transport. Now you see a student, in general students we know that molecules of salts, ions and any substance, even solute or solvents, move from region of their higher concentration to region of their lower concentration, that is according to concentration gradient. It does not require any kind of external force. It does not require energy to be spent. This is a natural process. Now this is also known as passive transport, that is transport of materials from region of their higher concentration to region of their lower concentration is known as passive transport. We have seen this topic, this process in diffusion and osmosis. But now here is the active transport. If the substance, the particles of salt or ions has to move from region of its lower concentration to higher concentration, that is against concentration gradient, then it requires some external force. It requires energy to be spent to pull the molecules, to pull the particles. When this process takes place through a living cell membrane, then this is called active transport. Now, so here it is active transport, the passage of substances like salts and ions from its lower to higher concentration through a living cell membrane from or by energy spent from the cell is called active transport. So here students, we see that in diffusion two substances remain in direct contact. In osmosis, the two solutions are separated by a semi-permeable membrane that may be living or non-living, like living cell membrane, egg membrane, and so on. Non-living cellophane paper and other things. So in previous cases the membrane may be living or non-living, but here we must need a living cell membrane, means active transport takes place through a living cell. Now clear, student? Now for example, when the root hair cells absorb water from soil, it moves by the process of osmosis. But the salts and minerals, ions, are absorbed from soil by the root hair cell by the process of active transport, because the cell sap of root hair is hypertonic with respect to the soil water. In that case, the molecules of salt and ions present in the soil is moving from its lower to higher concentration through the cell membrane of root hair cell, and hence energy is required which is spent by the cell. So we write here example, root hair cells absorb minerals from the soil by active transport. So now it is clear to you. Students, further we have to study here some terms related to the process of osmosis for the working of the cells and so on. And what are these terms related to the osmosis now? Terms. First, turgid and turgidity. Now, a student, what is turgid here? Suppose when a cell is placed in a hypotonic solution, then endoosmosis will start. Gradually, the cell will swell up. The fluid or the cell sap or the fluid inside the cell will exert outward pressure on its wall. As a result, it becomes firm. It will not be able to hold more water. Then the cell is said to be turgid. That is, the cell in a state of distension, that is form. The cell in a state of distension which cannot hold more water is called turgid. So the cell is called turgid. The state of the cell is called turgid. But if the question is asked, name the condition when the cell cannot hold more water in it, cell is distended in a state of distension, then it is said to be turgidity. That is, the condition of the cell, is called turgidity. So we write here, student, whenever you are required to answer the condition of the cell, the term is turgidity, not the turgid. The cell itself is called turgid, but its condition is called turgidity. It is formed, it is firm. So what will be the condition required for turgidity to occur or turgid to become? When it will take place, when endoosmosis will take place. That is, when the cell is placed in hypotonic solution, then the cell will become turgid. But now, a student, you see, suppose the cell becomes turgid. When the endoosmosis has taken place, then its cell content are exerting outward pressure in it, due to which it was unable to hold more water. So here the term used is Turgor pressure. Now this is outward movement, outward pressure. the outward pressure by cell content on the wall of a turgid cell is called Turger pressure. Now you see, a student, if this is exerting outward pressure, the cell wall or the membrane of it is holding the fluid inside, means it is not allowing it to pass outward, further move outward. So this inward pressure exerted by the wall over the cell content is termed as wall pressure. So the pressure, inward pressure exerted by the wall membrane on the cell content in a turgid cell is called wall pressure. Now, a student, you see here again, when the cell is turgid, then Turger pressure is balanced by wall pressure. But sometimes, if the wall is unable to balance the Turger pressure, suppose the wall is very thin, in that case, the Turger pressure will cause this wall to burst. Just I have discussed earlier, that is, suppose the fruit is over ripened, then the juicy fruit, the juice inside the fruit exerts extra pressure, that is Turger pressure, on the cells, and hence it bursts open. Clear, student? So this is the Turger pressure, turgidity, the Turger pressure and wall pressure. Now, just one more definition. Flaccid and flaccidity. Now, student, you see again, when a cell is placed in hypertonic solution, then exosmosis will take place, due to which the cell will become loose. It will limp. In that case, the cell is said to be flaccid. That is, the cell which is no longer charged with water. When the cell is turgid, it is fully charged with water. And here, when it is flaccid, it is no longer charged with water. And can hold more water is called flaccid. And the condition of the cell is called flaccidity. Now you can see, a student, that a cell can become turgid only due to endosmosis, but the cell can become flaccid due to exosmosis, due to less water, due to evaporation of water from the surface. The cell gradually dries up. In all the cases, the cell will become flaccid. It can hold more water in it. Clear, student? So just we have studied the few terms. Now we will have some more related terms like plasmolysis, deplasmolysis, and then some experiments related to osmosis, which we will study in the next part. Clear, student? Okay, thank you.